We'll hear from the federal government on Monday, the first budget presented since the start of this pandemic. That is a record, of course, in this country for going that length of time without a budget. What will be in it, given that we are not yet out of the woods on fighting this pandemic? Doug Porter is chief economist at BMO. Doug, great to have you with us. And I say that last bit there because you got to pity a little bit people, businesses, individuals and governments trying to make plans for the future when there's still so much uncertainty. And yet that leads to my first question, which is what are you hoping to see by way of kind of vision for the future? Do you hope this is a budget that really accounts for the spending we've seen and continues that path, in other words, fighting a pandemic? Or do you hope for vision and, a kind of a big look ahead, which is what some budget documents really are?
Yeah, thanks, Amanda, and thanks for having me. I think the priority is still basically just dealing with the pandemic, accounting for the costs, getting our way out of this. I think that should be almost the complete focus here. Frankly, we do not know how long this is going to drag on for, what the economy is exactly going to look like on the other side of this, exactly what the total costs of this will be. And I personally think the priority should be completely focused on supporting the small businesses and the individuals who are directly affected by the pandemic. And I really believe that that's where it should be, and not on all kinds of massive plans over the medium term. Frankly, we still don't know within the hundreds of billions of dollars how much the costs of shutting down the economy, restricting the economy are going to be over the next year. And so personally, I think it's premature to be, really trying to set out much more ambitious plans otherwise.
One of the things I think many are hoping to see here, Doug, is a clear accounting of how we've done. In other words, what was spent, what we've recouped, just kind of a running tally. Now, we know budget documents are in some ways more complicated always than we wish. Funding, or multi-year fundings between budgets, it can become very hard to figure out just what totals are. Do you think we'll get a clear document here that says, we haven't given you a budget in 2 years. Here's what's happened to our finances in this 2-year period?
I suspect it'll be quite clear certainly for the past fiscal year that just ended at the end of March, and I think there'll be a fairly clear blueprint for the current fiscal year. And I suspect that at the end of the day, the budget deficit for last year won't look markedly different from what they told us last November, even though many things have changed in the last 5 months. The bigger question to me is, what does the deficit look like for the current year and for the next year? On the one side, the economy has actually done much better than I think anybody could have hoped for as recently as last November. I mean, just one simple way to look at it in terms of, say, nominal GDP, which is what really drives revenues. We're thinking that nominal GDP by next year could be as much as 4 to 5% above where they set out in last fall's statement. That's a tremendous improvement, and part of it's driven by oil prices, part of it's driven by the strength in the economy. But on the other side, of course, the ongoing costs of the programs and the fact they've been extended and broadened likely will more than offset that better economic backdrop. And then, of course, on top of that is the potential for this extra 72, probably $100 billion of stimulus that they're talking about. So I think when you add it all up, we're probably looking at another budget deficit that's in the neighborhood we're assuming of somewhere between 150 to 175 billion dollars for the fiscal year that just begun. So roughly about half of last year's level, but still an enormous number.
We have heard some ahead of this budget, Doug, imploring the government not to spend that $100 billion, $30 billion a year over 3 years, or whatever it amounts to, up to 3.5% to 4% of GDP. Are you in that camp where you would say keep that powder dry unless you need it for the pandemic spending, which may ultimately be a reality?
Yeah, and I think those are two separate things. I think whatever they have to spend on, as I said, supporting individuals and businesses that are affected by the pandemic, so be it. I think what's really the debate here is, do they need to do something above and beyond that? Is that appropriate? And I'm very much in the camp that thinks it wouldn't be appropriate. I think the evidence is quite clear, and we're seeing it, even today's retail sales number out of the U.S. When things do reopen, I suspect we're going to see the economy come back very, very strongly. Whether it's the strength in asset markets or the buildup in savings that people have accumulated over the past year, or even the low level of interest rates, I think it's all systems go for consumer spending when things do reopen. The government is not going to have to support or prompt people to spend. One of the favorite phrases that's going around right now is revenge spending, and I personally believe that's exactly what's going to happen. When people are able to spend, they're going to do it, and so I think it would be overkill to be adding stimulus above and beyond that when things do reopen.
We will be watching for a fiscal anchor. We know that in her mandate letter, the finance minister was told to include one, so we expect to see one. That doesn't mean that it will necessarily be a good one. You can set your anchor wherever you want it. What's your thought about where the anchor goes versus where it was pre-pandemic?
Well, and I think given the vast amount of uncertainty that we're still dealing with, it might be sort of a loose anchor at this point. And my best guess is that it'll probably be set again at debt to GDP. I'm not sure about that, but I think that would not be an unreasonable place to go. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like 55 or 60% of GDP. The way I would interpret it is wherever they see things, settling out 5 or 6 years down the road is probably, we can take that as their de facto anchor, I would imagine. Again, we can debate whether that's an appropriate anchor, but I think it's not a bad place to start.
What do you most fear, if I can put it that way, Doug? We've got a minority government. This budget may well be treated in some ways as a potential party platform for a campaign if we had to go to an election. What do you not want to see in this budget?
I think I don't want to see a whole lot of permanent spending getting locked in and, basically being put on this path of budget deficits well above, say, 3% of GDP. I readily allow that there are some certain priority areas that I think they'll make a pretty good case. Childcare for one, that I wouldn't push back on. But I think if it goes much beyond that, and it doesn't fundamentally improve Canada's medium to long-term growth rate, I think I'd have a problem with that.
And just on that front, obviously we have to get through this pandemic. We're going to see a differential. We're already kind of watching people in the UK get back to their normal lives, parts of America. Do you think our government needs to be more focused on kind of resolving that fact that we will lag? Some of our sectors will be forced to say shut down after our trading partners. Is there any kind of new help that might be needed for those sectors?
Well, pretty much for the last 6 months, we've been highlighting the risks that Canada is going to lag the U.S. certainly for at least a quarter. Now, hopefully that won't be a long-lasting disadvantage. Essentially, they'll get about a 1 quarter, possibly 2 quarter head start on us. But I suspect that, when we do get the vaccine out in a much more broad fashion, that we'll be able to catch up relatively quickly. So I'm not overly concerned about that. But yes, pretty much since the start of the year, we've been saying we think governments at all levels, that's where the focus should be on is on getting the vaccine out as quickly as possible, because that's really, the best cure for the difficulties we've been dealing with over the past year. It's not more spending. It's not, anything on tax policy. It's basically getting the vaccine out. That's, the biggest positive thing that they could do for the economy.